Hello, this is Knots ASMR. Knots ASMR. I haven't done a video in a long time, like a couple of years, and that's because I wasn't really happy with the quality of the audio or video, and it was very difficult because I had a DSLR camera that would shut off after 15 minutes because it's something they're not allowed to do it because of they're not classed as video cameras, something like that. I can't remember the exact reason. I'm just gonna have a bit of water. Hope that doesn't knock the table too much when I put it back down. But recently I found a microphone that I've had in it's actually been in my parents' garden, their garden shed for about 10 years. It's been in like a flight case, so it's been in fine condition, but it I hadn't, for a number of reasons, I didn't have everything I needed to make it work, so I stopped, and so now I've got this better microphone and I've got a webcam which allows me to record in one go. I've obviously had a webcam on my laptop, but they're just not very good, and I don't know if this one's that good, but it's I think it's better, and it has a light on it, which is quite helpful. It means when I'm filming in the evenings, it's not too dark. So I'm coming back. I've got some kind of ideas of some stuff that I want to do. I've actually taken up playing chess, and I'm really become a big fan of HSMR, the streamer, and so I kind of want to do some chess videos. Probably, I think I've got an idea to just play out some games on a physical board and talk over it with the sounds of the board, and also I'm going to do some stuff with my record collection and things like that. But I just wanted to get back into making one and see if I still enjoyed making one, and see if I could do one a week or something. I'm hoping the sound's nice. I feel like you can maybe hear my fridge, which hums a bit. I might try it in my bedroom next time if it is too distracting, but I think it's okay. Today I'm just going to take you through a few different books. These are some books I've read in the last couple of years, and there's one I'm still reading. During lockdown I started a book club and I read quite a few books and really got back my joy of reading novels. So there's a few that I read with that kind of online book club, and then just since as well, some of my own, and just one I'm reading right now. So I'm just going to take you through them, tell you a little bit about what they are without spoiling the plot, and kind of whether I like them or not. So let's try. If you just see me looking to the left a little, that's because my laptop is on the ground because it was humming even more than anything else. So I wanted to just put it down so it was a bit less pronounced. But I just keep checking it every so often, just because to check it's not frozen or anything like that. I check I'm also looking. The book is on screen. So this is Snow by Orphan Pamuk. Snow by Orphan Pamuk. I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I think that's what it is. He's a Turkish writer, and he won as it says here, he won the Nobel Prize for Literature. I don't think it was actually for this book. I think it was for the book Red. My Name is Red. But he's obviously quite a heavyweight writer. Does that nice sound? I always like this sound. And this book is about, well, I think what's interesting, first of all, is that the name in English is Snow, but the name in Turkish, I believe, is Kar, which is the Turkish word for snow. And I think the point is the main character's name is Kar. The city he goes to is called Kar, and Kar is the word for snow. So it's kind of like 3 different words which sound the same but are spelled differently, but sound the same, yeah. Have different meanings, obviously. I don't know what you call those kind of words, but yeah, that's what the title is, and it's about a poet in Turkey. I think he was living, at the start of the book, I think he's living in Germany, but he goes back to Turkey. I think he used to live in Kar, or he used to move from Kar. I read this a couple of years ago, so I'm trying to remember all the details. But he goes to Kar, I think, to write about some suicides that are taking place. And then a lot of things happen, and to do with the conflict between the Muslim world and the Western world, and that's kind of the main theme of the book. There is a kind of sort of revolution that takes place in Turkey, in Kar, while he's there, and he also starts writing a lot of poems while he's there as well. He's inspired. The book is kind of there's elements of what feel kind of like magical realist about it, but it's mostly supposed to be the real word, but there's a lot of strange elements to it too. I really thought this book was actually brilliant. I think on the front this is a quote from Mark Atwood that says essential reading for our times, which I kind of agree with. It really looks at this this conflict between the Western world and the Islamic world. Not in the conflict, in the kind of violence, the differences. And Turkey, I think the author feels like it's like a melting pot of both of that, right? Sometimes it feels European, and sometimes it feels part of the the Muslim or Arab world, or at least that's the kind of suggestion the author makes. And it's about him looking at that, but in quite an interesting and abstract way. I really enjoyed it. It's not an easy read, and there's some strange parts, and it is one where in the middle you might be a bit like, okay, I'm not sure. There's like these long, sometimes I get 5 to 10 pages of descriptions of snow, which can be a bit challenging if you want like a lighter read or something. But if you want something if the topic that I kind of said interests you, then I think you should definitely read it, because if you at the end you'll be like, okay, that is interesting, and really looks at these topics in a kind of interesting way. That's the first one. I'm sort of putting stuff down makes noises too much. The second book is called Less by Andrew Sean Greer. I really picked this book up on a bit of a whim. There is it won the Pulitzer Prize for fiction, so it's a book of some note, but it is quite a light book, to be honest. If you want a book that is good and funny and heartfelt, but isn't too complicated, this is a book for you. It is definitely one you can read on a holiday, or when you try to relax. And it is about a gay writer who's approaching 50, and how he looks back at his life and his achievements and his relationships, and thinks about what they've meant to him and what love means, and whether we want love, and how important love is in a life. And he kind of goes through a journey, both a literal journey. He travels around the world, and a kind of journey of the spirit. And there's lots of there's some romance in there. It's quite a funny book as well. I thought it was really fun. It didn't change my life, or it's not the one. Some people might get that from it, but me reading it, I was just like, oh, that's a cool book. I enjoyed it. It's kind of some interesting points about love and romance, but it's not one where I'm gonna be like, oh, that sticks with me for like years. Where it kind of felt like some elements of Snow maybe did. I don't think it's going to, but I really enjoyed it, and I would recommend it to most people. If you want to read, just something quite light and fun. I don't think it's just like, I'm not trying to say it's trash by saying it's light and fun. It's not a heavy book. It's a book that's easy to read. It moves through. Sorry, there's somebody out in my hallway, but there's not really much I can do about that. I live in an apartment building, and people walk past sometimes, and it's a bit noisy. I'm gonna have to try my bedroom sometimes, but my bedroom is next to the road, so there are disadvantages to both. Third book is a book called Nettles by Adam Scoville. I don't know which one it is, to be honest. Could be Scoville, could be Scoville. He is he's a young writer, and I'm just reading his thing now, and he's from, I think he personally, and the book is also said like that, is from Merseyside, which is, if you don't know, it means he's from near Liverpool. He's not in the book. He's not from Liverpool. It's from, I think it's actually the Wirral, which is an area near it. But Merseyside just means he's from that general region. Anyway, that's what the book is kind of about. It's set there, and it's about. It's not a book where actually a lot happens. It's a book about a young man in his 20s, I'm guessing, or maybe early 30s, revisiting where he grew up and the memories that come back with that, and the seeing places, how that can trigger memories and things like that. And I'm not going to give too much away by saying this. I think it's on the description, but he was bullied, and that's kind of where the nettles come in, and about how the landscape and the place connects with those memories of being bullied in that time. And it's that kind of feeling of going back to your town. If you're from a smaller town and you move to a big town like London, or you move to wherever, city, or move somewhere else, when you go back and the memories of your childhood come back, whether they're good or bad, you don't really have a choice. That the places connect you with those memories, and about how that feels, and what that can mean for you. And it's not a lot actually happens. The full plot is there, that he goes back and looks a lot of stuff that kind of triggers memories, and it flashes back to those memories of him as a kid, and it just kind of talks us through these few weeks when he started school and was bullied, and the story around that. And it's I really thought it was good. He's a young writer. This isn't one that has been nominated for any awards or had a lot of hype behind it. It's just kind of a small a small publisher and a small writer who, well, there are no small writers, but you know what I mean. But I think he was cool. If you like books that are that almost poetic in a sense, in that they look at one subject and they just write about that one subject, and there's not a long plot. It's more about like a sense and a way to get across this feeling and this idea. I think that's what he's trying to do in this book. And I thought it was really good. I think if you're British, you kind of have that, and if you're from a small town and move to a different town, you kind of know this feeling that he has. So for me personally, because that's kind of my story, somewhat, you can kind of really connect to this, and that's what I did when I was reading it. But I would recommend him because he's a small. If you're watching this, he's a small writer. Not very well known. So I would recommend it if you want to try an unknown writer, Adam Scoville. If that sounds interesting to you, but I agree, it's not necessarily for everyone. But it was cool. I liked it. Third book. This sounds a bit different. Why tapping on it? It's a bit softer. What does that sound like? Nightingale by Marina Kemp. Marina Kemp. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not like this book very much. See, I think the frustrating thing for me about this book was I live in France, and this book is about it's set in the French countryside in Provence, and it's about a nurse who's caring for a dying man, and kind of secrets and things that come out while she's caring for him in the last kind of few years. Sorry to give away. It's the last kind of. I think he's basically in hospice care, but in-house hospice care. It's not a surprise that it's the last. I'm not ruining the book for you by telling you it's the last few years, last few months of his life. It's about set in Provence. But the thing for me is all the characters just seem really English, and the way they're written is really English, and the dialogue is really English, and the way they behave between each other is really English. And even there's a Muslim woman in the story who I think is meant to be sort of North African, from what I remember. But the author doesn't seem to really understand at all anything to do with the French relationship with people from Algeria. So the whole French thing seems to be completely incidental. Maybe to give the book some more colour, but for me, it didn't make sense. They just felt like they were English people, and so it's like an English market, and she drinks tea from a kettle, and I don't know if this is a shock to anybody English who's watching, but French people don't tend to have kettles and don't drink tea that often. I mean, there's some French people really like tea, but they're generally more of coffee people. And it was that she wrote this in that she used to be a nanny in England. That's why, but that said in England. I really don't understand why it's said in France. And the characters use kind of English expression. It makes no sense. They don't sound like French people. But let's put that aside to try and look at the rest of it. I think what the author herself, I know, is a carer. Like, she cared for her brother who was, I think, severely injured in some kind of motorcycle accident or something like that. So I think that part she really understands, and there's more to the caring aspect than just the dying man. I won't reveal too much, but there's other elements of that are brought up, and I think that the author understands really well. And there's romance and intrigue and things like that as well, which I didn't find that interesting, but it's alright. I'd say if you are interested in the kind of idea about caring and the romance, actually I was going to say I'd recommend you, but I wouldn't. Just don't read this book. I don't want to be that bad, because I think it's her first book, and I think anyone writing a book and anyone getting a book is amazing, but it really wasn't for me. There's some quite good reviews of this on Goodreads, but I'm not one of those people who thought it was good. I didn't get it at all. I didn't get why people liked it that. Like, I thought the story was kind of apart from the caring stuff, which I think it was good. The story I think was quite average, and I think the French thing was so badly done. I think if you visited France a few times, you would kind of see that it's like incidentally, it's not real. It's like it might as well be. It should be set in the home counties. Honestly, it should be set in the home counties in the UK, because that's how the people talk and behave, and I think that's where the author's from. And how the setting really feels. But anyway. But if you're not that interested, if you want something that's just kind of bit sad, but also has some love and stuff in it, and has, pretends to be in France, then you might enjoy it. But I didn't really think it was that good, and I wouldn't really recommend it. But each to their own. The final book of one that I read, the last one is the one I'm reading right now, is this book which is called The Sunken Land Begins to Rise Again. The Sunken Land Begins to Rise Again. I think I was pointing to the wrong place. It was called by M. John Harrison, who I think he primarily writes science fiction, and so he writes kind of like strange, kind of genre bending and reality bending sci-fi. So I think I didn't really know that before going into it. I think I should have expected it. And also, to be honest, this book won the Goldsmith Prize last year, and the Goldsmith Prize is basically for novels that push the boundaries of what a novel is and are a bit odd. And this book certainly does that. I say I enjoyed it, first of all. Not sure. I wouldn't say I didn't enjoy it though. I enjoyed it more than Nightingale. I enjoyed elements of it, but the plot is so strange. I'm going to read the back for you, but the back is not going to give you anything, but it's going to... I'm not, because if I try and explain the plot, I'm not going to get anywhere, so I'm going to just read what the back said. Sean had a breakdown, but he's getting himself back together. Shaw had a breakdown, but he's getting himself back together. He has a single room, a job on a decaying London barge, and an on-off affair with a doctor's daughter called Victoria, who claims to have seen her first corpse aged at 14. It's not ideal, but it's alive. Or it would be if Shaw hadn't got himself involved in a conspiracy theory that on dark nights by the river seems less and less theoretical. Meanwhile, Victoria is up in the Midlands, renovating her dead mother's house, trying to make new friends. But what exactly happened to her mother? Why has the local waitress disappeared into a shallow pool in a field behind the house? And why is the town so obsessed with that old Victorian morality tale, the water babies? As Shaw and Victoria struggle to remain in their relationship, the sunken lands are rising up again, unnoticed, in the shadows all around them. It's very strange. It's a book about... it's about how reality blending into the unimaginable, and water, and connection with land, and lives that are kind of maybe a bit stuck. And yeah, I don't really have a lot more to say to that because it's really hard to explain. There's scenes where sorry, there's a bit of noise outside. I'm just going to wait a second while that noise goes. And they're obviously locking a lot outside. They got to lock the door like 3 times. Okay, but it's still working. Anyway, the strange things happen. Like they see strange things in the water, and they see strange figures coming out of the water. And there's a medium, and he goes to a strange shop where they have strange vials of blue liquid, and none of these things feel connected, but things are connected in a strange way in this book. Like things and images come up again, and it feels like a mystery that you never get the answer to in this book, but it's interesting, and that's what I would say about the book. It's interesting. What's interesting also is that M. John Harrison, I believe, is one of the judges for the Booker Prize this year, which is a big prize for English language novels. It's one of the biggest ones in the world, and because I think he is, well regarded, and he does some strange things, but this book is bizarre. But if you are interested in the bizarre, if you like strange books, you like books where reality, it's not clear what's real and what's not, and what things mean, then you'll like this book. If you want like an easy read and some clear narrative, this is not the book for you. The final book, I'm going to tell this one quite a lot because it's going to be a quite different is called The Colony. The Colony. The Colony by Audrey McGee. And this has been longlisted for the Booker Prize for this year, and it apparently was shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction. And it's about a remote Irish island where they mostly speak Gaelic Irish, and about a painter, an English painter who goes there, and a French linguist who goes there. And it's about, the book for me so far feels like the big thing. It's about colonialism and identity, and about how outside influences can challenge that, and how people in the story have to decide how much they want to give away. You know, they've brought these people in because they want the money and they want them there. That's good for the island, but maybe it's the English destroying the Irish language, but also the French language is too obsessed with keeping the Irish language, when perhaps the people there want to go out and see the world and speak English. And I think it's a book about looking at the way we look at kind of colonialism, and as outsiders, as English people especially. I mean, I find it really interesting about how she kind of looks at, the English language and the English people were a horrible influence and, destroy the Irish language, but also it's now still not our decision to make whether Irish people want to keep Irish, or whether they want to keep old ways, or whether they want to be part of the English world or not. It's interesting. I'm only halfway through, so I don't really have full view on it yet, but I'm enjoying it so far, and it's kind of written in a cool way. Some of the lines are quite poetry. They're very short sentences with a mixture of dialogue and internal monologue, where they're just it's like this line that's like, ancient grievances buried in this burning earth, cow dung, pig excrement, rotten potatoes, famished bodies, the fetid blood of war, poverty of blame, smothering me, suffocating English lavender. So that's just like an internal monologue that's basically written in a poetic form. And then some of the dialogue lines are very short, but then you get longer pages that are a lot more descriptive. It's very cool style. I think it's really interesting the points it's trying to making about, not the points, but I don't think it's making a point. That's kind of what I was trying not to do when I was talking about it before, because I don't think books often make a point. They just sometimes books try and make a point, but I think sometimes they just try and bring a dialogue out, or present a way of looking at something that maybe we haven't looked at before, or just shine a light on a topic, or look at it. I don't know, like the same with Snow. I think Snow's not trying to say that you should feel this way about the conflict between the West and the Arab world, or you shouldn't feel that way. I think it's just trying to say this is one way people feel about it, and this is some of the thoughts and the themes and things that come up when we think about this idea. And I think that's the same with The Colony, where I'm not trying to say that there's a point to the book, or that we should feel a certain way, or we shouldn't feel a certain way. I think they're just saying that this is an interesting topic that we can look at some different angles of. Anyway, that's my last book. I hope you enjoyed me coming back after 2 years or something, not doing a video. I hope I get a few more followers. And if you watch the video and you like it, and follow it, because I'm going to try and do some more, and hopefully you like the new audio with the microphone. I think it's a lot better, a lot sensitive. And I'm going to, I think the next one I'm going to play some chess. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it. I'm either going to play on a wood board and just follow a game on my phone, or I have a kind of small chessboard which I could just play against. It's actually my dream to play against HSMR. I think he's a lot better than me, but it would be really fun to do that in a video. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll probably do some more book reviews. I've got a lot more books that I've read last few years, and some that I'm going to be reading. But I hope you enjoy,